Hello and good morning. Today is Friday, October 9th, and this is weekly video number 1 for ES1 Fall 2020. Last week was weekly video 0 because last week was week 0. Next week will be weekly video number 2. I'd like to start today with a few logistical and administrative announcements. First, crashing ends today. If you're currently on the wait list and you do not receive an ad code by the end of the day today, then that means that unfortunately you won't get into the course this quarter. I encourage you to try to take it again at some point in the future. Perhaps this summer, it is offered during the summer, ES1 is, or next fall when I will very likely be teaching it again, hopefully to a crowded room full of students meeting face-to-face again on campus. This week I had office hours on Tuesday morning, as I will every week throughout the quarter. My office hours were full. I had a stream of students coming through, and it was great to meet with people. For those of you who attended, I want to thank you for attending, and I want to encourage you to return. For those of you who didn't attend this week and who may want to attend, I want to encourage you to join. It was really great to be able to speak with people one-on-one. I did decide to keep my office hours to a one-on-one format. If you would like to join office hours, click the Zoom link at the appointed time. Come to the Zoom link and wait in the waiting room. I promise to try to move through folks as quickly as I can while still giving the people who would like to meet with me sufficient time to do so. Thanks for being patient and thanks for attending. I look forward to meeting as many of you as I can throughout the course of this 10-week quarter. The next thing I want to briefly talk about is reading. Reading is always important, whether we're talking about reading the emails I send out, the syllabi, the materials that your TAs provide you with, or the activities in the weekly assignments themselves. It's always crucially important. But this quarter, reading is more important than ever. The reason for that is because, of course, we're not meeting face-to-face. Under normal circumstances, I would be able to stand up in front of you twice a week and your TA once a week, and we'd remind you of all sorts of things that are coming up with the course and answer your questions. This quarter, the only way that we have to do that is by providing you with materials in a written form or by meeting with you in Zoom meetings or pre-recorded videos like this one. This places a greater onus on you to follow through by paying close attention to the materials that we provide you with, watching the videos, reading the weekly assignments, including their instructions and the questions ahead of time, reading and referring to the syllabus when you have questions, and paying attention to the email correspondence that we send you over the week. If you do all of this, you'll be in good shape, you'll know what's going on, you'll be able to respond in an effective way, and it'll lower all of our stress by enabling you to have a better sense of what's expected of you throughout the quarter. Please be sure to read the materials carefully. If you do not read the materials carefully, then you may end up doing something wrong that leads you to, say, not get credit on one of the assignments. And if you ask us questions, particularly me, if you ask me questions that are clearly answered in the syllabus, I will not respond to them. I spent a lot of time working on that syllabus and writing email correspondence to you. The reason I do that is to inform you. Pay attention, do the readings, read the materials, read the announcements, read the syllabus, and you will be well informed, and this course will be that much easier and more enjoyable for you. Now I'd like to discuss the assignment for this week. The assignment for this week, weekly assignment number 2, addresses the causes, consequences, and some of the political challenges of climate change, which is one of the greatest environmental crises, of course, facing humanity and the rest of life on Earth today. Climate change is often called a devilish or wicked problem. People also sometimes say that any measures that would actually be up to the task of addressing the challenge of climate change are deemed politically infeasible, while solutions that are politically feasible seem to be not up to the task of actually dealing with the problems that we face. This presents a conundrum or a paradox. It is a wicked problem. It's a devilish problem, but it's one that we need to solve. This week, I've provided you with a series of materials that get at these questions from different angles. You have 4 videos, activities A through D. Activity 2A is a montage of clips showing US politicians wrestling with, talking about, and then delaying action on climate change over the last decade and a half or so. Gives you a sense of some of the politics that's involved. Videos 2B and 2C provide you with some information about solutions to climate change that people are attempting to enact or enforce right now. On the international level, that includes the Paris Climate Accord, and on the domestic level, the congressional proposal for a Green New Deal. By watching these videos, you'll get a far better understanding of the opportunities and challenges that are presented by our political system and institutions in dealing with climate change at multiple different levels of social organization, from the country to the international community. Video 2D approaches this in a different way. It focuses on the energy system itself. The energy system that we have here in the United States is extremely complex. But scientists have developed models that enable us to envision the energy system as it works, to understand its different nodes, its sources, the way energy is produced, the way energy is converted, and then also the way energy is consumed in a way that results in carbon being emitted to the atmosphere and forcing climate change. Understanding the energy system is crucial for understanding some of the social, political, technological, cultural, and economic challenges related to solving the problem of climate change. Reading 2E fleshes these issues out in a clearer way by providing you with a narrative description of some of the political challenges that face our leaders when they try to deal with climate change, and that also face regular citizens when they try to get our leaders to deal with climate change itself. Reading 2F states very clearly that we've already emitted enough carbon into the atmosphere that we have some amount of climate change locked in well into the future. But it also argues that this isn't a reason to not act or to lose hope. In fact, it's a reason to move even more aggressively and more quickly to try to address the challenges of climate change now before they spiral much further out of control than they already are. Reading 2G shifts toward a much more positive note. It talks about the power of protest, about the power of mobilization, about the diversity of people who have mobilized over the last few years to support aggressive, ambitious action to solve climate change, and in particular, the role of youth organizations, of young people, of activists, like maybe some of you, who are pushing their leaders to try to address climate change in a much more effective way. It points out the power of protest, the power of social movements, the challenges that those movements face, but also the importance of young people in particular, of speaking up, of speaking their mind, and of pushing older leaders and older politicians to actually address problems that will face us as we move forward, and in particular, the futures of their children, their grandchildren, and young people like you today. For the weekly assignment this week, I have 3 questions that you are supposed to answer at home, and then 3 more that you will answer in the context of your pods. These questions get at some of the issues I've just discussed and that are covered in much more depth in the reading. And then the pod questions really sort of shift the focus to more interpretation and discussion about the current political and economic climate and what we can do to address some of these problems. As always, your weekly assignment will be due at noon on Thursday. Gaucho Space will lock you out at noon on Thursday, so make sure that you turn your assignment in by then. Your completed assignment will be the solo questions and the pod questions, both of which you will have finished after watching and reading the materials, the activities that I provided you with. Remember, reading itself is absolutely crucial. And this brings me to another related point. Some of you expressed concern this past week to your TAs about the volume of materials that I've assigned. I know this is a pretty ambitious list of materials, particularly this past week since we had a documentary film that took about 90 minutes to watch. In the future, we will probably have fewer of those longer documentary films and more short videos But the short videos are packed with information, and some of them you may actually have to watch twice. What I want to encourage you to do with the readings is to read efficiently and effectively. We all think we know how to read, but in fact, reading is a skill that is acquired if you really want to do it in the most efficient and effective way. Here's what I recommend. Before you do the readings, read the assignment very carefully. Read the instructions, but also read the questions I've provided you. Then jump into the videos and the readings with a sense of purpose. Read and watch actively, taking notes as you go, that are focused on helping you answer the questions that I've asked you. If it's a long reading that would normally take you, let's say, a half an hour to read every word of from beginning to end, but in 15 minutes, you can go through it in a way that enables you to answer the questions that I've asked, then you've probably gotten out of that article the thesis, the evidence, some of the details in a way that will enable you to understand the point of it and to speak intelligently about it, both on the page on your own, and then in the pods when you come in and discuss these issues with your colleagues in your discussion sections. That's the point, to be able to do this work, to be able to go through these materials in such a way that enables you to do it with the least time required in the most efficient way possible so that you can get the most out of the readings and contribute the most to your own education and the educations of the colleagues that you will be working with throughout this quarter. And so although the goal of ES1 is to enable you to think critically about challenging environmental problems that are facing us today, the other point of the course is to get you to be able to get to that point by doing this work efficiently, by understanding a broad variety of different perspectives, and by being able to consume a variety of different kinds of media materials, readings, watchings, listenings, in a way that gets you to the point where you can develop intelligent opinions, speak from a place of knowledge, think critically, be open to alternative opinions, and then come to a place where you feel like you have a much greater understanding of the materials in a way that can enable you to act, to empower you to move forward in a way that actually helps us solve these problems as opposed to making them worse. We are all implicated in environmental crises like climate change. We all contribute to them. I believe that the power of ES1 in this course is enabling you to think critically about them in a way that you can help us find the solutions. That's all I have to say for this week. I encourage you to visit my office hours, to speak with your TAs, to get an early start on the materials, to read the questions and materials carefully, to do your best to provide solid answers on your own to these challenging materials coming from a variety of different perspectives, to prepare for the small groups so that you can contribute to them, and then to turn in high quality assignments each week by Thursday at noon so that you can come out of this course feeling like you've gotten the most out of this at a time when it's challenging to be in college and contributed the most to your colleagues' enrichment as you go. Thank you for all that you've done in week 1. Thank you for paying close attention. Thank you for your hard work, and good luck in week 2. We are here to support you if you need us.